Well, good morning. So this morning I'm reading in chapter 4 of Luke, and I read that Jesus, who was full of the Holy Spirit, left the Jordan and went out into the wilderness to be tempted by Satan. I looked at that passage and I thought, he was full of the Holy Spirit, and yet he was tempted. I think that sometimes when we think that we are the closest to God, in other words, we're doing all the stuff, we're praying, we're reading, we're doing devotions, all of that, that somehow we're protected from the enemy. Well, that's not true. I mean, obviously, from Luke chapter 4, we know that Jesus, even full of the Holy Spirit, completely filled, was tempted, not for one day, not for 3 or 10 or even 15 days, but for 30 days. 30 days of temptation. I don't know what you think about temptation, but temptation, well, it's around us all the time. Now, I don't know the extent of the temptation Jesus experienced, but I can tell you that from what I can read, it was intense. I mean, it was for all of the things that I think human nature wants: possessions, pride, prestige, all of that stuff. And Satan tried his best, but Jesus didn't give in to it. I'm not that lucky. I've given in to temptation. There's temptations that I've given into that I'm not proud of, that I have failed miserably. And that's the story of my life, and maybe that's the story of your life. But I've looked at this, and I've thought about the idea of the temptation that Jesus went through. Paul says that if we resist him, that is the one who is tempting us, he will flee. How well do we resist? How well do we put into place the things that are in our arsenal to be able to resist him? See, I don't know as we do such a good job all the time. In fact, I think sometimes we give in to temptation and we don't even realize that it's a temptation straight out of the pits of hell. We think we're doing a good thing, and we're not. We're actually becoming an agent of the one who is the enemy of God. Well, how does that work? I think that works because we get deceived. And the problem is that part of temptation is deception. It is the old magician's trick of presenting one thing with one hand and then removing it so that you don't see it, and suddenly you're hooked. Suddenly you're doing the very thing that you thought you would never do. I've done that in my life. I've done things that I thought I would never do, but I compromised myself. So today the challenge is simple. Think about where you are on this continuum of temptation. What are you doing to resist him? Hey, until next time, God bless.